Well, hello guys. Welcome back. Somebody asked me an interesting and pretty pertinent question about rebellion and what does Loki think about rebellion in our lives? It really depends on the type of rebellion you mean in my experience. Like if you mean like a rebellion against a dictatorship, a literal rebellion, and you feel that cause is just and you feel willing to fight and possibly die in it, that's one thing. He will remind you you can have a high possibility of dying if you're gonna fight an actual rebellion. But if you mean like rebelling against the system, it's a very timely question because he told me to look up horse this morning. I had a total breakdown last night. He told me this morning to look up horse totem. He says, I'm not saying you have a horse totem, but I want you to look it up. And I watched Jordana Van about horse people, and horse people are the most rebellious people on the planet. You would think are Lokeans. They're not going to listen. They're headstrong. And I apologize if you're a horse person. I'm just generalizing here to give you some of the challenges they face. They're not going to listen. They're headstrong. They know better than you. They're going to kick down that stall and they're going to run out to the pasture. And I'm like, wow, I can relate to all of this. And it doesn't matter if it was the best stall in the world and they were getting the finest oats and veterinary care and their people worship them as a living horse god, they're still going to kick down that stall and run away because freedom matters more than security. But if you've ever spent time around actual horses, you know they're also a animal that even though they're 1,000 pounds, a leaf can fall and the horse is straight up in the air and you're watching a horse fly. And, so they've got a lot of these extremes in them. They want to rebel and not listen. They want to buck you off and kick and bite in some ways, but they also realize that if they're too rebellious, goodbye horsey. They'll be given to someone that can hopefully, help them learn that rebellion is great and a fighting spirit is great and all that freedom and that we cherish with horses is great. But then comes a time where, it's kind of like if you watch the movie Spirit, where, they're taking these wild horses and they're trying to tame them down. If you're too rebellious and people can't do anything with you and you're always going to fight, you're always going to kick, then you're not going to find your herd to be with. And horse people are herd people. As independent and wild as they can be, they do eventually need that herd. They do need companionship. So I very much have that personality that even from a little child, I did not want to listen. I was very independent, strong-minded, and in a way you could see that as a rebellious spirit of not listening and thinking I know a better, smarter way to do it. But it can also get you into trouble because you get marked by your parents and you get marked by your peers and you get marked by your teachers as this rebel. Not in the same way as a guy lighting desks on fire, but you're still stubborn and you're not going to listen and they don't know what to do with you. So you don't quite become part of the herd. And sometimes you can try to listen, like you'll grow up and you'll go to college and you'll go to work and you'll try to be serious and listen and not rebel. But that rebellious nature will come out and bite you in the butt because you'll decide you know a smarter, better way to do it. And you won't ask for permission sometimes. And that can get you into serious trouble. So Loki would tell us to ask first, why are we rebelling? Are we rebelling because it's truly unjust? Are we rebelling because we have that horse kind of nature to kick down the stall and go run and be free? And there's nothing wrong with that from time to time. Unless we kind of do an introverted rebelling. And by introverted rebelling, we're kind of rebelling against what's good for us. I had a total breakdown last night because even though I was saying I was trusting the gods, I do have, you guys know I have trust issues. I had taken absolutely everything on my back lately and I felt like I was carrying around the past and the present and the future and I just collapsed. You put too much on a pack horse and pack horse collapse. So this morning Loki goes, you have to look up horses. And one of the things Jordana Van had said was that, a pack horse is a loyal animal and that they'll take that on their back and they have a high tolerance for pain and they won't complain and they'll keep trying to do it all on themselves because they feel they have to. And they'll keep going until they literally collapse and fall over dead because they're not going to complain. And so sometimes, even though we know it's not good for us, we take a lot onto ourselves that we shouldn't. We feel because maybe we don't trust the gods to take care of it, or we don't trust our partner to take care of it, or a boss, or whomever. We take it all onto ourselves. Some things we have to remember are out of our control. It's out of my control, for example, if I get a viewership or not, or I get monetized or not. I probably won't, but that's out of my control. I can't do anything to influence it. It's out of my control if I have patrons. I was really upset and grousing to a friend the other day, and I said, you know, on the main channel, I have supposedly over 5,000 followers. If every one of them had just chipped in 50 cents, I would be doing great. I would be doing fine. If they'd even chipped in a quarter, I'd be okay. And she's, what can she do? She can't make them do that, and I couldn't convince even 100 people or one person over there to support me. So there was nothing I could do about that. And I think, horse personality, I wasn't going to let it go. I was going to keep going over there and staring at it and stomping on it and wondering why everything wasn't going my way. Well, it wasn't going my way, and the worst thing for me to do was to try to get back under that burden, as I kept doing and trying to carry it, and that didn't work. So in a way, I had to kind of rebel. I had to kind of say, okay, I want to be loyal. I want to see this through to the end, but it's clearly not working. One of my hugest problems in my life, other than running away from things, which I can, is when I decide to be loyal, I won't leave even when it's killing me. And that's kind of when you do have to rebel. You kind of do have to kick down your stall in that sense, because that's a bad stall environment. That's you're not getting fed, you're not getting loved, you're not getting attention, your main's a mess, you're kind of getting, really sorry state. And even though people might be in the barn, nobody's taking care of you. They just look at you and they go, oh, you'll be all right, and nobody's taking care of you. Yeah, then you kick down that stall and you run away. And as scared as you might be to kick down that stall and, the supposed security around you, you do have to kick down the stall in that sense and run away and be free. And I kind of had to kick down the stall with that channel because it was never going to take off. No matter how many times I went back and got myself up under the burden, it would not take off. And I explained to my friend, to beat a dead horse, explain to you guys, I don't have the amount of money that I would need to run that channel. That would be an easy $1,000 a month plus to run that channel, because people want you to do unboxings, they want you to do games, blah blah blah. So come to this channel, and there's nothing I can do about the finances on this channel. So I was totally collapsed last night, and Loki's like, this morning, you look up, horse. You look up, horse. And I think what he's saying too is that it's okay to go back and get the useful stuff. It's okay for me to, say for example, still like FNAF, if that makes me happy, or still like video games or something. But I don't ever have to go back to that channel. I don't have to ever go put myself back into that environment where people just want you to buy and buy and buy, but yet nobody's supporting you. It's different if you have, swell patrons, and yeah, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm asking you to buy $200 worth of stuff. Maybe I should give you $20 a month. Yeah, if that happens, then you can do stuff. But when you don't have that base, which I never got, there's nothing you can do. So Loki would tell us to use rebellion in a useful way. It's not always about, in the first time I record this, I said Lakosh for some reason. It's not always Les Mis. It's not always waving a flag and dying a hero or whatever. And that was a college rebellion, by the way. That is not the French Revolution, even though I know most of us think it is. It's about learning when it's really useful and learning when it's going to serve a purpose and when it would serve your purpose. Will rebelling help you out in the end, or will rebelling just mean you're going to have to do, as Loki often have to do, go back and fix whatever you destroy during your little rebellion? So, be realistic. rebel when you can. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes we have to resist that urge. If you're under somebody else's power, for example, and rebelling would just mean you'd have to fix what you broke, wait. Be patient. Loki is extremely patient. You can know him for a decade and not even know it's Loki, so wait. Be patient. Your time will come. Sometimes it's time to rebel and to kick down your stall and to run out and be free. And sometimes it's just time to wait. You'll get your chance, but wait until you have a plan. Don't just kick down the stall and run out into the field and then be like, now what? Make sure you know where you're going when you're running. Make sure you're running towards something, not just away from something, as I can tend to do, but make sure you got a goal in mind and you know you're actually going to be welcome when you get there. Like, don't just decide I'm running away from home today and joining the circus, and you run away from home and you go to the circus and they're like, we don't want you. What'd you decide to run away from home for? It's just a silly example, but you know what I mean. Make sure you actually have an actual destination. If it's somewhere where you think you're in danger, then yeah, you should certainly get yourself out of it, but get yourself to like a safe house or something. Get yourself to a place where you'll be safe. Don't put yourself in danger when you're rebelling. And I'm speaking as a Lokean with a lot of experience. Sometimes we've got a smart mouth and a bad attitude, and we're not going to listen to you. And it can get us into a lot of trouble. So he would say, make sure it's worth it. He really would, because he's gotten burned, and we've gotten burned. And, you know, sometimes we do weird things. But, you know, all Lokeans have a huge rebellious streak. I think Marvel Loki is a really good example of that, where he didn't feel loved and appreciated. So, you know, he got this huge rebellious streak, and where did it get him? Getting his rear end kicked for like what? His character appeared decades ago, for decades getting his rear end kicked. It didn't really do him any good. He's like, I'm a rebel, and he's like getting his ash can handed to him most of the time. So yeah, think of where you're going with that rebellion. I personally don't believe in Ragnarok. I don't mean to offend you guys if you do, but I've just had too much experience with too many different gods to think that every other group of gods would be like, yeah, go ahead, destroy the world, see if we care. No, they kind of would intervene. I think it's Christian influence. But, you know, Loki would be like, he even looked at me one day and he says, what good would it do for me to take something to extreme where I destroyed myself? Loki loves Loki too much to just, you know, he's not so blind and so vengeance driven that he would do something that would totally, you know, decimate him and his children and all of his people. He is a creator god, so, you know, he knows when to rebel and when not to. So if it's a question of rebellion, I'd say ask Loki. Say, is this worth it? What should I do? And if you're not getting an answer, his answer to me right now was to wait. I can't do anything at this point. Anything in my future is beyond my power at this point. I literally have no way to go out and get a job because my body won't hold up. I can't get disability because it's catch-22, because if you can't work enough to make the taxes, and what I've been living off for years does not count as taxable income, is a catch-22. So I have to wait and see what's going to happen. I might not like what's going to happen, but I have to just, you know, at this point, sit and wait. There's nothing more for me to do. Me getting hysterical or running around like crazy or trying to do a physical job I can't do isn't going to help me at this point. I kind of have to just sit down and wait and look all around me and just, you know, wait for a sign, wait to see what's going to happen. So I hope you guys like that. Always remember, if you're going to go on a rebellion, just make sure you know where you're going. Make sure you know what the cost is going to be, not only to you, but maybe to the people around you. Sometimes when we start rebellions, we don't ask anyone else, right? We are social justice warriors, and we don't ask the other people involved. So remember that too. Make sure you're not going to end up hurting the people that you're trying to save. Even if it's yourself, because you're worth it. Don't hurt yourself by trying to save yourself. If you have to, as in my case, wait. If you have to get out now, if it's a thing where you're calling, you know, your personal safety rebellion, no, your personal safety is your personal safety. Get out now, get yourself somewhere where you'd be safe. But you know, I hope that helps. It seemed like a timely question because um, it feels like we're going through a time of rebellion. Countries aren't getting along. Everybody's smack talking everybody else on YouTube. We have leadership that is like it's rebelling against being in America. Like the leadership doesn't like America, so it's a very trying time, and it feels like there's no stability. And it's natural for Lokean to want to rebel and try to run away and try to find stability. Sometimes you kind of, as cheesy as it sounds, have to find that kind of calm in the middle of the storm with Loki and just kind of ride it out. So, I hope you guys like what you see. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.